Hi, I'm Trevor New. I do a lot of music related things and I use a lot of music technology. And I've been getting a lot of questions about the SoftStep 2 and how to set it up. So I'm going to do a quick overview video. Here's the SoftStep. And we're going to talk about how to set it up and maybe different ways of using it along with your set. I'm going to be using Ableton Live, and this actually works with any MIDI compatible device. But I'm going to use Ableton as a way of showing you the different options and just getting you a general setup, kind of going over mapping as well because it can be a little bit challenging. So first thing you want to do is I already have Ableton open here because I'm using that for my audio source. What you want to do is go ahead and plug in your SoftStep. So yeah, just in this port here. And once you do that, we can go up to the preferences in Ableton. And if we look at the MIDI ports area down here, make this bigger. No, I can't. The MIDI ports area down here, the SSCOM port 1 will come up. So you want to select track on and then remote. And then there's these other options available as well. We're just going to leave those alone. Go ahead and close that. So now it should be connected to your computer. What you're going to want to do is, and if you can see over here, you're going to look in the upper right hand corner. And when you press a button, you should see a little, this blinking square up here should go off. So that means that it's receiving messages from a source. It's receiving MIDI from a source, which in our case is going to be the SoftStep. You may have other stuff hooked up too. So now that that's set, cool. Yeah, now that that's set, we can go and open up the SoftStep Advanced Editor. Now, I kind of have a preference for the Advanced Editor over the Basic, just because there's just a lot of things that you can't do with the Basic Editor that you can do with the Advanced. I figure if you're gonna have this controller, it's probably it's probably a good idea to get into the Advanced options because there's really a lot there. Feel free to start out with the basic. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody has has all sorts of free time, although we might these days have like a little bit more. Depends on what's going on. Cool. So now that you have that open, there's two different modes here, and they're both do different things. So that's hosted, and this is standalone. What hosted is it's gonna save. Hosted's gonna save the options that you have for your SoftStep. It's gonna save it on your computer, basically. There's a little bit more reactivity, more communication between the SoftStep and the computer, and that in this scenario. And it does allow you some options that you wouldn't get necessarily in standalone mode. So that's a little bit different. But what I find is if you're in hosted mode and it gets disconnected and you have to plug it back in, there's a kind of a host of things that can end up happening that can kind of affect your live performance. I'm looking at this from a live performance perspective, and I know that when I'm in standalone, one, I can my controller, the controllers are interchangeable. So if you need like a new one, you can always I think that's true of hosted too, but you can always, upload the, controller, information that you've mapped and everything like that. But with the standalone, it basically starts it starts where it left off. So if you're in the middle of a show, there's less likely you're less likely to have messages get crossed. If anybody has any other experiences with that, feel free to share. It's a pretty it's pretty deep, like controller in terms of the options. So there are a lot of things that can happen. Uh, so yeah, for right now, let's go ahead and make something pretty simple here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make like a new set just for this video. So if you go to say select something, I like to select something that already has the options that I'm more than likely going to be using. So if you're going to be, just, triggering notes, doing switches and that kind of a thing, then I would say go to notes, right? There's some pre-programmed notes in here, but I'm going to go to save as, and let's call this soft step, so small, tutorial. Yes. All right. Been doing a lot. Eyes are a little tired. So, great. So there's some pre-programmed stuff in here, right? We have one is these are actual notes, right? C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, right? So if you go into the the mod the mod modulation editor, they're mod lines basically. Each of these, you can turn them on and off this way. So if they're both like this, then there's no messages that are going to be sent. Now messages will be sent from mod line 1. And this is actually good to go at this point. So if I come back to Ableton, if I hit, MIDI mapping, I'll select 1. If I come over to the soft step, oh, you know what? So I skipped a step. What I need to do before you do that is you want to go to your set list and make sure that that's available. So just like with the mod lines, make sure that it's highlighted after you select your thing here. Yeah, so you select your set options, and then you can, when you unhighlight it, it gets rid of it. Sometimes hard to remember those things. There's a few steps. So close the set list and and then hit send to SoftStep. So now, if I just left the standalone mode, I went to Ableton. Now if I come over to the SoftStep here, and let's toggle over, there it is. So it's displaying note, which is the one that we chose before. Now if I go to MIDI mapping, boom, I'm going to click on 1, and there it is. So it just mapped. You can kind of see, if I just do that again, went over, clicked on channel 1, there it goes. Speaker on is mapped, off on. Okay. So now one of the things, so if we go back here, so we're back in this mod line. So this is the note that's going out. You see note 60, all right? When you are making a new mod line, you kind of have to look at all of these options very carefully. It's easy to sort of miss something. A common mistake is having this being SoftStep expander and not SSCOM port 1. That can happen when you go to add the second one and you don't see that this is automatically selected as SoftStep expander. Not my favorite thing that's that way, but yeah, that's gotten me a few times. So one of the cool things is you have this table that has a number of different options, and okay, great. This table has a number of different options when you have it open. So I generally use linear and toggle. If we like click those, sine, cosine, these are literally just like your mathematical equivalents. Exponential, it's gonna be like a rising slope kind of a thing. Logarithmic, I have not used. I'm not familiar with that one. I know what a logarithm is, but sort of. So if we go to toggle, toggle's pretty great because it really remembers Notes, right? You turn this off and on, and let's say save and send. Never, like always remember save and send. That's off and on. Yeah. Yeah. So when it's mapped, it's not really the best option. This is definitely designed for the foot. So there it goes. And yeah, always do send a soft step every time you go back, and it's kind of a sort of a what is that? What do we call that when you're working? Yeah, when you go back and forth between Ableton and the advanced editor, just hit save and send a soft step, or send a soft step every time. To make a change and then wonder like, wait, why isn't this working? So using this controller, there's really just, you want to make sure that you build in specific habits. It yeah, there it goes. We'll be getting to some pretty cool options soon, but for right now we're just kind of getting the basics down. So if I come over here and let's say I want to add some, let's do what, some sort of guitar effect, something like that, or delay. Delay is great. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Yeah. So instead of, so I have, this is speaker on off button right there, which I hope I didn't switch that off during our talking. So let's kind of do this. We'll duplicate that so you don't lose me here. Let's see. So come back over to Ableton, and the delay is gone. Cool. So delay. Great. So that's off, right? So you can have that as like a channel there, or if I just go to MIDI map, go back to the on/off button for delay, and we're good to go. And then there's the effect when we want it, and then not when we want it to. Yeah. So that's like a basic, kind of more basic mapping in terms of the just, you know, switching things on and off. Now, where this unit is really, like, I think really great is, like, let's just take let's actually take the, so I'm going to switch this back on, and I'm going to get rid of this mod line right here, and I'm actually going to change it. So I'm going to map this now as though we're using control change messages. So that'll be, so we're going to go to CC, and actually just bring that down. Sorry about the computer fan noise there. Yeah, let's just stick with CC60. All right. Let's crank this up. So that's what happened to that. Fix that there. And let me see if the volume's all right. Oh my God. Yeah. There we go. Let's see if that's okay. There it goes. So let's stick with that around there. Yeah, damn, fan noise. Okay. Yeah, let's just do that. Just do like a little gain thing here. Cool. All right, so we have our delay on and off, right? If we go back to this mod line here, and all right, so we just switch this over to CCs. It's still on channel 1. We'll stick with that for now, but if you're organizing things, you'll want to do things on different channels. And then we'll come over to the source option. So this is where it gets kind of pretty interesting. You have all of these options, which is pretty cool. So just going through them, pressure live, it just pressure live, save, send to SoftStep, turns something on when you, so let's switch this to this. Comes on when you add the appropriate amount of pressure, which, let me see what the settings are here. You know what, let's switch this to, yeah, that should be working. All right. So MIDI map this. Oh, right. So it's at 64. Let's bring, yeah, this is another one of those things. So the threshold, let's bring it to 6 just so that we can see that working. Yeah, so if I press 1 now, it'll turn this on. That's great. So if we have that threshold nice and low, it'll be on, for example. And then let's say we want to blend, we also want to blend it in, right? So we come over to WetDry and go ahead and map that. That's from 0 to 100%. Sounds good. Now when we have this effect, you slowly press this. It'll bring up the WetDry. Again, this does work a little bit better with your feet. But if you are using your hands for some reason, right, for this here, you can actually go to the gain. And this is where you can kind of make it so you don't have to press as hard. Go to the gain, multiply it by 3, right? So save, send to SoftStep. And now when I press this, I don't have to press this quite as hard. Yeah, and then I can actually blend this in and then kind of go away here, and then that kind of happens, right? You can map all sorts of things like this. If I map here, let's say I do the time change and stuff like that at the same time, I can also do all of this. So it, and then it, yeah. So there's like some crazy sounds there. So what I'd like you to imagine is if you take, say you have one of these buttons, right? This is one mod line that we're using with it right now. You can map this to a whole host of things. You can also, if you add another, you can add, I think it's up to 6 mod lines for each of these. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, any more? Yeah, it's 6. 6 is great. It's great to have that as an option. I think I've usually I go up to 3 most of the time. Usually something for switching things on creatively, and then an XY sort of sensitivity to what you're doing. XY control. I'll show you that next. So this is just pressure live, right? X live is if you go. It's going to be if you point upwards. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Going left and right, and that's an off thing. So you'll, and that's an off thing. So you'll, and that's an off thing. So you'll, and that's an off thing. So you'll actually have to go and convert these things. And this is going side to side. Pretty cool. Yeah. See, there's a lot you can do with the settings in that. So we have, that's X live, Y live is going to be, going north and south with that. Going up and down, up and down. And for this, we'll need to invert the range for it turning on. Right? So this is continuous. And sort of. It'll keep track of where you're at. So you can kind of start wherever it is. It's, what is that? It's relative. So as you're moving, you stop there, and then you can kind of come back. Musically, I'm actually kind of wondering what this sounds like. Here's my viola. Yeah, so that allows you to do kind of like a crazy tape delay sound effect. Not an actual maybe tape delay, but getting into there, and that's just from using the regular delay. These controls are super musical. Let's go to, foot on off. We got that. Actually, let's check out the toggle option here. So this is kind of a cool thing. So you have your foot on switch, right? And this is still mapped to that same spot. If we go to toggle, what that's going to do is allow that to be an on off thing. If, again, you need to make sure you hit save and send to SoftStep. Yeah. On off. Yeah. There it goes. Cool. And right now I don't have any of the, like, the effects not on any of the, like, the effects not on. But yeah. So I just have it dry wet. So that's just to see if we can see if it's flipping on. Cool. So as that's happening, right. So we have our toggle option. Now what I'm going to show you is kind of a nice thing about this is that you can see, you can actually change the LED display options here. So we have always, let's see. Yeah, so if you hover your mouse over, you can see pressing this key will have no effect on the display. That's no fun. Always key name will be displayed after every time after this key is pressed. So that has to do with this up here. So when you press this key, it will display C, which you have named over here, right? You can change these names actually. Bop. All right, let's change it to bop. And now when we hit this, we see bop up here, right? Pretty cool. So bop is our button. And all right, so yeah, so that's kind of a cool thing there. You can kind of see what was the last thing you pressed. Now this is something that I really like. This is kind of the magic with the toggling. What you can do is it will show you when you've switched a button on. And right now you can see that this light is on. And if you come over here, you can see the effect is on. You switch that off, the effect is off. This is something that if you're not paying attention, you click here, LED and display settings. If you're not paying attention, you won't even see this section here, and you won't necessarily know that this is happening. All right. So you want to change this to true, right, for green, and that's going to supersede the red. You see LED will turn on when the mod line value is greater than 0 and off when equal to 0. Yeah. Right now it's set to green. I think green supersedes whatever's happening with red. I think that's great. Green's my favorite color. But yeah, look out for these LED display settings. It's really helpful as a performer to be able to see all those things. Great. So what is it? We got the toggle option. That's good to go. And right. So now something that I like to use. I generally don't get into these other options below. That's kind of kind of ties the different keys together. Allows you to, you know, have, what is that, key 1 pressed, so that's just going to double press 1. If you were to select key 2 pressed for this mod line, whenever you press this key, it will also press key 2. That might be a good option for something that you're doing creatively. I have not had a use for that because there are so many mod lines. You can kind of control these different things that way. But maybe I'll just try that and see what happens. Other key pressed, I've not used that. And mod line output, output to 2. So yeah, I believe that's sending the same information out to another mod line at the same time within the button. Again, haven't found a use for that. Ableton has like a ton of different options, but if you're using a different DAW than this, then you may find having those other source options may be useful. Let's take a look at, oh, right. 2 more things here. If we go to X increment, save, send. So that's if we go here. So that's should be turning everything up. Let's see here. Why is that not happening? Let me just invert the range, see if that does anything. Okay, let's just redo. Oh, so again, I switched the data source without switching the modifier. So this needs to be linear, so this will be like a fader. Now when I go over to the oh my gosh, when I go left and right here, that's going to turn that up and down. And if and that's through X increment. And if I go to Y increment, save, send to SoftStep, got to build those good habits, then I can turn this up this way. Right? So this may seem like a little bit of a challenging thing to do, you know, with these buttons being the size that they are. And I actually have had somebody say that I have like boat feet or whatever. I have like pretty wide feet, like pretty good sized feet. But like you can get these buttons. I've done it wearing like dress shoes that was at the point-toed dress shoes. Been able to do this. I would say like wearing pointed dress shoes is not the best thing to do with this one, but you can still do it. In general, you'll kind of get what people say you get out of it what you put into it. I'd say that's true with this one, and